How was your month? Oh, May in lockdown, everything, the world has just gone upside down, hasn't it? This is my video diary for May, and I thought I'd bring you along here today to a reservoir that's not far from me. Loads of you will have seen me fish it before. I'm doing a bit of filming here today, so I thought I'd talk you through my month, let you know what I've been up to through May whilst I'm actually fishing. Well, the first bit of bad news we had through May was Feeder Masters. You know, it's a great competition, very well known competition, it's very prestigious as well now, and we got the sad news that we were no longer going to be able to fish that competition this year. So during May I had 3 qualifiers to look forward to. One of them was right here at Southfield Reservoir. I think the other one was Boston and the other one was Holcroft. So that was obviously, you know, a little bit disappointing, but you know, the right decision as far as I'm concerned anyway. The good news for people that did have tickets for this year means that the people that did have tickets can just roll those tickets over to next year. So whatever tickets you had for this year, you will get the same qualifiers for next year. So it means you haven't got to go through that you haven't got to go through the ticketing purchasing process again, which I know some people find a little bit stressful sometimes. So that was disappointing through May, but that didn't stop us getting back out on the bank. We were allowed to go back out fishing. So I made it my mission to go out there and film at least 3 session videos, just like what I'm filming today. This is a session where I've just come along today. I've got a brand new ground bait mix that I know a lot of people won't have seen. I'm fishing a slightly different way from what people will normally see me fish right here. So I went out and had 3 sessions out where I filmed a full day for you. They've already been uploaded to my catch fishing channel on YouTube. So the first one was to a place I've not visited for, it's got to be 4 years maybe, to fish in a competition anyway, and that was the fabulous Lindholme lakes. That was a brilliant session. You know, it was just a great opportunity to get the pole out again. It's probably a year since I fished with a pole, and it was nice to kind of, I was catching on the feeder early on. For those of you who haven't seen the video, it is live over on my channel now, but I was fishing with the feeder across, which was a really nice way of fishing. You know, it's not something that on a small narrow commercial like that, because it was only about 15-16 meters wide, just popping a little feeder up to an island. I don't do that very often. I really enjoyed it, and then obviously having the opportunity to fish the pole as well. I fished a line straight in front and then 2 margin swims left and right, and both lines were busy in the second part of that session, so I really enjoyed that session, and I know it was well received, so thank you for all the great messages regarding that particular video. Now the next session video I managed to get out and film was again pole fishing, exclusively pole fishing, and it was on a small venue that possibly most of you probably haven't heard of. It's a venue just outside Sheffield, right on the outskirts of Sheffield, and that's called Locksley Fisheries. it was another fantastic session again with the pole. A little bit slow to get going, I'll openly admit, but I'm not putting that down to the fishery. It was down to me and the way that I expected to fish that particular venue. The fish were up in the water and I'd not really gone there to fish shallow. And then once again I went down the margins, down that right hand margin, and gradually it got stronger and stronger, and I really wasn't fishing there at the key time for a margin to produce, but to be putting the pole through its paces as well, and just kind of, you know, just go pole fishing again and catch some fish without the pressures of a match. It was great. So thanks again for all the messages regarding that video. I know a lot of you enjoyed watching that one. And the final session that I had in May, I decided to go back to Lindholme Lakes and fish a different lake. I actually fished on Loco. In the first video I actually fished Bonsai Lake. On this second visit I actually fished Loco, and I fished in the open water with just a short chuck feeder, and I think I switched that to a bomb as well later on, where I was catching F1s, and then I've gone down the right hand margin and I've caught some F1s as well, and it was solid at the end of the day. That video is also live now on my channel as well if you haven't already seen that. And that was my first outing with the MTX1 power pole. It's a fantastic bit of kit. I obviously haven't been doing much pole fishing, but I speak regular to the Matrix lads and people who are nothing to do with Matrix, the people that have gone out and bought the MTX range of poles, and I haven't heard anybody say anything bad against them, you know. And when some of these lads are competing in, you know, these major competitions using that kind of a kit, then it obviously means it's up to the job, and it was certainly up to the job that day at Lindholme. I didn't catch any massive fish, but it was a case on some occasions to hit and hold some of those big F1s that I were catching up to 4 pound. And when you're fishing near snags like that and features, it's important to put a stop on them, and certainly with the slick elastic as well. It was just a fantastic workout, and if I get the opportunity to go out pole fishing again this summer doing that sort of fishing on commercials, then I'll certainly be taking the opportunity. Well, with everything that's been going off in the world, I just kind of felt that I'd got an opportunity to do my little bit for the NHS. Lots of people have been doing some fundraisers and all that sort of thing, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. Some lads have been running virtual matches. There's been all sorts going off on Facebook, and you know, whatever form it takes, I just think it's a fantastic way of just doing our bit, especially whilst we've all been in lockdown and stuck at home. I felt I'd got a little bit of an opportunity to raise some money for the NHS, so I decided to arrange and organise a 5-hour live stream on YouTube. Now, I know lots of you were there, some of you even sat through the full 5 hours. Thank you so much to everybody who logged on and just helped us get through that. I thought it was going to be much tougher than it was to stay live for 5 hours, but lots of people logged in. I approached some of the biggest names in angling who kindly joined us, and they logged in with us every half an hour just for a bit of a chat and a Q&A session. I don't know if anyone's, if anybody out there hasn't seen that, it is still available to watch on my YouTube channel. So it's the 5-hour NHS live stream. The final tally of the money that we raised from, I donated 2 full coaching days that were put up for auction, and there were various other things as well, and lots of people just kindly donated, just logged on, watched the live stream, put some questions forward to some of the star anglers, and also donated money as well. So thank you so much for that. The final amount raised, I think it was £1,885, I think it was, it's gone to the NHS. So I just want to say, you know, a massive thank you to everyone who logged on for that. You know, it's really nice to see everybody getting involved, and it was all done in good spirit as well. I think everyone enjoyed it, so thanks for that. Really appreciate your support, and you know, it's just nice to do our bit whilst we're at home, whilst we're on lockdown, and yeah, let's hope we can get back to normal pretty soon. Now, as regards match fishing internationally, a lot of you will already know that the international events have just been postponed until next year. Not cancelled as such, the World Feeder Fishing Championships and the European Feeder Challenge were due to take place in France on the same venue as the World Championships. That has just been postponed until next year now. Okay, so normally we would have been heading out to France to focus on that venue for those two competitions, so unfortunately we've got to miss them, but they will still go ahead next year. Unfortunately, again, another casualty of what's been happening in the world as well is the World Feeder Club Final. As a lot of you will know, our Ringer Baits team qualified for that at Arrow Valley a few months ago, and we would have been heading out there through May as well. The final is in Bulgaria. It's on the rowing course, it's on the Plovdiv rowing course, so we were due to be going out there and focusing on that venue for the World Club Final. Again, thankfully it hasn't just completely been cancelled, it's been postponed until next year, so we are still going to get our trip out there. There aren't any dates finalised as yet, so you know, those three events that I've just mentioned there, certainly the European Feeder Challenge and the World Club Final, were the two biggest events of my own year. So whilst, you know, it's upsetting and very unfortunate that we haven't been able to go there, it does mean that they are still going to take place, but next year. Well, as you can imagine, through May I actually had a few coaching sessions that were booked in with anglers, and unfortunately, just due to the circumstances, they had to be either postponed or cancelled altogether. At the time that this video is getting uploaded, we are now allowed to go back out coaching with the relevant documentation, you know, so I've had to draw up certain risk assessments and client documentation just to maintain social distancing, so thankfully that is kind of back in place now. There are certain procedures in place, but it's been good to get back out on the bank and get some of these sessions done, because there's been loads of lads that just want to get out there and have a day's fishing, so that's been good. A lot of that is automated now, so if anybody was interested in a day's coaching with myself, all you need to do is log on to the catchfishingchannel.co.uk website, and there are a list of dates there where you can just book online, and it just tells you what's involved as well. So if anyone's interested in that, please go to the website and have a look at that. 26th of May was a key date for us last month, and that was the date when we could finally go back out match fishing. As you can imagine, even though match fishing could go ahead, it still obviously had a lot of social distancing guidelines in place, and a lot of those are still in place, and some venues aren't even running matches even now. So some venues, this is one of the venues, Southfield Reservoir, there's lots of room here, and the way that they run the draw here, it's like a van draw, someone else draws the peg for you. So basically from the 26th of May we were allowed to go back out match fishing, and the first match that I actually went in was actually on the Ayr and Calder Canal. It's only about a mile or two away from where I actually am right now. It's the canal that actually connects to Southfield Reservoir that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. It was just an open match. It's a venue that I've never fished, well I fished it years and years ago, but never really with a feeder. It was always pole fishing when I fished for Garbalino Osset back in 2011, and that was all team fishing, you know, you were fishing for team points. But I went there because I'd heard that they were catching some bream. Richard Vaughan, a good friend of mine, fishes there every year, and he's always told me about it, that at this time of year it's mainly feeder fishing. So I went along there, and whilst the weather wasn't favourable, it was just fantastic to be back out on the bank match fishing. Well, I've got to admit that I was handed a bit of a good peg there. I was drawn the end peg. In that particular match there were 8 end pegs, and I thankfully got drawn one of them, and it was just nice to get to grips with the canal. You know, I caught a few fish, 14 pound I think I had, won the section, and wasn't too far away from the frame, to be honest, but it was an interesting match. I learned quite a bit about the venue. It was interesting how I caught the smaller fish on the longer line and the bigger fish on the shorter line, but I had to feed both lines completely different. But that's something we've talked about in videos a lot. But above anything else, it was just nice to be back on the bank match fishing, kind of seeing a lot of the old faces that I haven't seen for a long time, you know, because that was a different match that I hadn't competed in that circle since 2011, so there were lots of lads there that I knew from my team fishing days with Ossett, so that was really nice, and obviously to get a result was nice as well. But thankfully we're back out match fishing, and it just gives a little bit more of a focus now we're at home preparing this kit, because we know what events we're preparing for. Well, one of the things I really love about being involved with Matrix, and it's just part of the reason why I always wanted to be involved with the company sponsorship wise, it was never because of free bait or free tattle. It was never about that, because I'm a feeder angler. I don't use much bait as it is, and tattle wise, you know, I went out and just bought 2 or 3 rods to do everything that I needed even before I was a sponsored angler. One of the key reasons why I always wanted to be involved with a company like Matrix is so that you have some sort of an input into product development with ideas, and just not only ideas on products, but ideas on any of the products, just feedback on them and the way that the business is run as regards you know, helping to promote the products and the media side of things. I, at the end of May, got the wonderful opportunity to go along to a pretty well-known bream venue and go out and test some of the new rods that we've got coming out. Now, these rods, I can't show them to you, but the rods are going to be out within the next 4 weeks, I believe. They have obviously been slightly delayed, as you can imagine, because of what's been going off in the world, but the first ones start to come out in about 4 weeks time. And there were also some rods as well that are going to be due out next year as well, so these are kind of next generation rods. So I was fortunate enough to go along to Earlswood Lakes in the Midlands, which is a fantastic bream venue, and I hadn't been there before. It was my first ever visit there. I've heard of it for many years, and I went along there with Matrix brand manager Sean Little. Well, one of the best things about being associated with a brand is getting involved with the development of new products. I've been fortunate enough today to have a day off from work, and I've been invited out with Sean Little, who's the brand manager for Matrix, and we're here at a venue that I've known about for years, but I've never been here before. It's Earlswood Lakes. Absolutely stunning venue, but it's a stunning day as well. We're here trying some of the new rods out. We've got a brand new range of rods coming out over the next few weeks. I know a lot of you have been asking about them. We're here going through these, and we're also looking at some samples for some rods that are going to come at an even later stage. So we've got a selection of rods here. We're doing a bit of feeder fishing. Not ideal bream conditions, but we are catching a few. Well, that was a fantastic session. I absolutely loved going to go and see that venue. I've known about Earlswood since I was a kid, you know. I remember reading about it years and years ago, back in the early 90s. So it was great to see the venue. Obviously great to catch some fish, but even better for me to kind of spend a day with Sean. It's not very often that I get a chance to see him face to face because everyone's so busy these days, and it was a fantastic opportunity to see and just give Sean my feedback on those range, the new ranges of rods that are coming out, and just giving my feedback really. It's sessions like that that you can only kind of do on the bank. You know, it's all right having a prototype rod sent you, but until you start casting in with it and fishing with it, that's the only time when you find out if there is anything wrong with it, or if anything needs changing, or just reaffirms to you that, you know, it is exactly how you want it. So it was a fantastic session. I really enjoy sessions like that, and hopefully now I'm getting a little bit more time to spend on the bank. Hopefully I'm going to be getting involved more with things like that. But it just capped off a really nice month for me. You know, it's been an interesting period, certainly for a lot of tackle companies. You know, I've heard good things and bad things about the tackle and the fishing, well, the industry basically over the last few weeks, how a lot of them have suffered because of obviously fishing tackle shops haven't been allowed to open, and we're just thankfully coming through that now. So it just capped off a really nice month where you kind of realise what you take for granted, not being able to, you know, get out on the bank. You know, there are lots of occasions now when I can go out there on the bank to do some work, whether it's video media stuff, or whether it's trying products out, or whether it's just a day fishing with Dad. You know, having just gone through the period we've gone through where we weren't to, you know, we didn't have that as an option. I think we realise how lucky we are, and I'm certainly going to be making the most of it through the rest of the year now, hence days like today, just getting out on the bank and doing what I can. So it's been a really interesting month for so many reasons. You know, it's been the kind of month when you realise how fortunate we are to, if we get a day off work, just jump in the van and go fishing, you know, for the price of a day ticket. You know, I think there's lots of opportunities out there that we haven't taken just purely because we've taken it for granted being able to do that, and I'm certainly not going to fall into that trap now. I'm going to be out on the bank as much as I possibly can, doing filming, trying new kit out, and just out on the bank enjoying fishing and upping my game as well. So thanks for logging on. Thanks to everybody who's come and said hello this month. There are more people coming and saying hello now, which is nice. I know we can't shake hands at the moment, but it might be just a hello from 2 meters away. It's just nice to see some faces that we only interact with online. So thanks for logging on. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on any of those new products that are coming out and the new videos. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all at the end of next month.